Hello everyone, I hope everybody's keeping well. So I briefly touched about this yesterday when I was talking about the online safety bill going through the House of the Oireachtas. And again, it's something that I wanted to talk about for a while. I never got a really around to it. I talked about it briefly, I think once before. But it has such an effect, and particularly over the lockdowns and things like that, more people at home didn't have much to do on social media, things like that. And social media, again, as I always say, it's a good and bad thing. There's good and bad things to social media. The same with everything, really. There's always a bad side to everything. Um, and it's to do with effects on social media and people's health and people's well-being and things like that. So basically, the first example I give, as I talked about before, is particularly young girls. And again, I came across many instances of this before with young girls, that they be looking up to models and things like that that absolutely starve themselves to oblivion to take pills to reduce their weights to look as thin as possible and things like that. And girls do look up to them models and things like that. And again, they do starve themselves and they don't feed themselves enough and everything like that. And they look up to these girls. And again, particularly other like porn stars and things like that. I've seen it happen. Girls looking up to them, thinking that they could get a boyfriend easily enough. If they look like I don't know, some porn star or something like that, they do more exercise and things like that. Even though exercise is good, to over exercise themselves. And still over exercise is not good for you. And even overstaffing yourself and things like that, it's not good for you. It really isn't good for you. And again, that's the effects. It really does, because it has an effect on the mind too. Particularly again, girls. It does have particularly young girls. They think that's the standard I need to be to get a boyfriend, to to have a happy life in other words. And I have come across this, personally with people, with young girls. That they do look up to these girls and they do exactly what they do. They want to have different things in X, Y, and Z. I have come across that personally, and this it's very effective. It's very devastating on young people, because again, young women shouldn't be worrying about they look like fucking Miley Cyrus or whatever you call these famous stars or whatever. They shouldn't be going out of their way to do it, because again, as I say, you are yourself. I mean, that's all. You are yourself. You have your own personality, and that's what really matters to you. It doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter. Again, it's what's inside that matters. And I keep saying that. I can't emphasize that enough. But social media goes out of their way to promote it, and I see it even myself sometimes on social media. You have these big stars going around showing themselves and things like that, saying to young girls, "No, look at me." And girls look at that, particularly young girls. And I can't emphasize this enough, but it does happen a lot. That's particularly the one thing that happens a lot. So I do say to young women, be yourself. Be yourself. Don't worry about whatever the fucking big stars of the day, what they have or whatever they feed themselves or whatever. Don't give a damn about what they do. You are yourself, and whatever suits you suits you. Don't be taken in. You can look up to people, of course, but don't be overdoing. That makes sense. But yeah, social media does have an effect on the mind too, and it does influence the way we think and the way we see things and things like that. And obviously, there is things out there, you see, that are extremely tragic. I've seen mothers that have lost their sons to suicide and things like that talk online. And again, you have to be made out of stone, not to feel for them, and not to feel their pain. Again, you see about this, and again, it does hit you straight in the heart. Especially with me, it does really, really hit me hard. When I see videos like that, again, that's good that they do speak and say about their loss and talking about how great they did, and giving them a voice beyond the grave. And to raise awareness above all else, and to say to people, particularly young men too, to speak out and things like that. And obviously that's great, but it is sides to social media too that does have effect on people's lives, and unfortunately does cause people to take their lives. And that's the next point. There's some things that that is disturbing things out there that does make people commit suicide over. And there's things people have said and things that can have a profound effect on the mind. And that's the thing, we still don't really understand how social media can have an effect and really change our mental health aspect. Even though, because again, words nowadays hurt more than actions. It really, really does. And you really can see it in people, because again, I know many people who have to take breaks from social media, just get off social media for a month or two. And again, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Just chilling and relaxing is a good thing. It's very, very good in your mental health. To chill and relax. So again, too much of social media, too much of a good thing is a bad thing, as they say. It's alright to contacting your friends, and we're blessed to have social media. I will say that we're blessed, but again, it can affect people's mental health. And again, I can't describe, many people who I have seen. There was one YouTuber I do remember. I won't talk too much about it. But I have to say, I take my hat off to. I really will. I actually take my hat off now when I'm speaking about them, because I do have huge respect for them. Absolutely have huge respect for them. That she left for 6 months, because she was struggling, and again, you have to take your hat off to her. That she changed her life. She really did change her life around. She's a new person now, and that's putting it straight. She's a new person now, and she's a lot more happier in what she's doing now, and everything. She changed what she was doing before. And again, you have to take your hat off them. You really have to take your hat off to them. And obviously, it's great to see that she's in a good place now and things like that. It's great to see, and I do acknowledge that, and I will talk about it briefly some other day, because I do think it's a good, and particularly this person as I talk about here, I do think she's a good inspiration to young girls, and I do say that straight. I think she is the best inspiration a young girl can have. And I will talk about it eventually, because that's the person I want to try and get the interview on here. Because I do think she's above any other stars or anything like that. Because I do think she's a good influence on people. I really, really do. But yeah, so social media can have a huge effect, and again, we have to see it. We have to see it for what it is. And that doesn't even count many other things. There's many other aspects of social media that has influence. Particularly too with Bitcoin and things like that. I want to briefly touch on that. That it does influence people's finances and influence what they do online. Now I don't know much about Bitcoin and things like that. I'm too old school. But it does, and I have heard people that have invested ridiculous sums of money and they ended up being scams and things like that. And it does have an effect too in people's health, and it does change people. It does change people because they're more suspicious of people. They don't. Again, it does change people. It really, really does, and that's what social media does. It does change people. It does change people's personalities and their beliefs and things like that. Even though it could be good, again, it's healthy to have a debate on social media and the democracy. But there is things that do change. Again, as I mentioned there's many other things I could cover. Social media is a big ride. It's an endless fight. And again, it does have an effect on people. It does really does have an effect on it. So I do say that people, to think about what they're posting, think about what they're saying to people, because again, we have to understand. At the end of the day, I know some people on the internet don't act human. But some people do act human or don't behave like humans, like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, now all them fools. But we are human at the end of the day, and we all have to look after each other. It's our duty really, especially as Christians, it's our duty to preserve the Lord's work and to think about what's coming, what's facing us when we die. And were we a good person? Did we care about people? Did we try our best? Did we serve people like we were supposed to, or whatever speech you could make out of that? But yeah, that's really all I have to say. There's probably more I could say, but again, I can emphasise that it does take a huge effect on people's minds and people's mental health. And even again, as I said, young girls particularly, that's the most thing I've come across. Even I remember actually now when just speaking about it. There was a boy one time that was a Mayo and a big heavyweight boxer, I suppose, and he kind of wanted to be like him. He worked out extensively and things like that, and it did no good for him. It really did no good for him. Even though it was good to have exercise and things, don't get me wrong there, but obviously overworking yourself is not a good thing, and obviously he has pains in these muscles and things and that now, from over exercising, because he really did over exercise every morning, every noon, every second of his life, really just exercising, overdoing it, and that isn't a good thing. And again, as I said, to him at the time. And again, when you're young, you learn from mistakes, and that's the good thing about when you're young. But as I said to me, you are yourself, and whatever you want to be, but don't try and become somebody else, as I said to him. Because you are yourself, and you have your own personality, and that's all that matters, really. Thank you.